This is the first test, logging in with no inputted data, and if I press login, there's a text box saying missing username or password as expected. Okay, this is me inputting no data and trying to sign up, and it says please enter username and password as expected. Okay, this is me trying to log in with a password but no username. And as expected, there's a text box saying missing username or password. This is me trying to sign up with password but no username inputted. And as expected, it's saying please enter username and password. This is me trying to log in with a username inputted but no password. And as expected, you get a text box saying missing username or password. This is me trying to sign up with a username inputted but no password. And as expected, it says please enter username and password. This is me trying to log in with incorrect user details. As expected, it says username does not exist. This is me trying to sign up. As expected, it says signed up. This is me trying to sign up with already registered user details. As expected, it says username already taken. This is to hide and show the password. And this test is to log in. As expected, we're now in the main menu. Okay, now I'm going to change the order of this leaderboard so it's ordered by wins. Now as you can see, it's ordered by wins. Now I'm going to change the order so it's ordered by win-loss ratio. And as expected, it's now ordered by win-loss ratio. And this is me finally ordering it by score. And here you go, the highest score at the top and the lowest score here. Now I'm trying to delete and change values within the data grid. And I cannot change the values as expected. This is me changing the profile picture. So this is the original profile picture. And I'm going to change it to this one here. And I get a text box saying the image has changed, and I can see here that it's changed here. And if I close this form, it's also in the main menu, back in the main menu. So now before the users start playing a game, the users have to choose their starting positions hit in these cells here. So this is the starting positions, and this is the original position, the choosing position. So from these pieces you can move here. Once first the white user has filled this row with pieces, they can press the white button to confirm. And once all of the black pieces fill this row here, and then they will continue to the game. So the first test is to try to confirm when there's no pieces selected. And as expected, there's a text box saying there are still some empty cells. Now I'm going to try and confirm black, even though it's still white turn. And as expected, it reminds that it's players 1's turn. Okay, now if I select this piece, it highlights all of where it can go. But I'm trying to now move it to somewhere where it shouldn't be able to go. So anywhere here, as you can see, it doesn't move. Now I'm going to move it to one of the actual starting position cells where it can move to. And as you can see, the cell has moved here. Okay, if I press the shapeshifter piece, it shows all of the available moves. I can move it another cell in the starting row, or I can move it back to the original row. But now if I try to move it for here, for example, where there's already a piece, it doesn't move it like as expected, and it also selects the tiger piece now, so I can move the tiger. Okay, if I press the shapeshifter and move it to a starting position, I can move it back and forth. I can also move a piece in the starting position from one cell to another. Now if I fill all of these cells, all of the starting row, now that it's filled up, and if I press white confirm, there's no text box, and now it's black done as I can select their pieces now. Now that it's players 2's turn, I'm going to try and move any white pieces. And as you can see, it's not letting me move. If I press black confirm with no cells filled, it gives me a text box saying there's still some empty cells. Now I'm going to fill all of black's starting position. And now I'm going to confirm this. And now it moves to the main game as expected. Okay, now that we're in the main game, now it's white turn. So now I'm going to try and move players 2 pieces, and as you can see, it's not letting me move anything. Now when I press a white piece, it shows me all of the available moves, which is here. So obviously a pawn can't move here, or here, or here, and it's not letting me to, as it should be. And if I do move the white piece here, it should move, and as you can see, it does move. Now that it's players 2's turn, I'm going to try and move white again. And as you can see, it doesn't move. Okay, now if I move this pawn here, and if I move this player 2's pawn here, player 1 should now be able to en passant hit like so. Okay, now I'm going to check if castling works. Okay, now it shows me a legal move or a possible move is available if I press on the castle itself, and if I do, it castles as expected. Okay, now I'm going to get player 2 into check. Okay, now that player 2 is in check, I'm going to see what the available moves. So one available, it can't ask, this is the queen, and it can't move anywhere here or here. This is the only available move because it blocks the check. This bandit can only move here because it blocks the check. The knight can only move here because it blocks the check. I can't move any of the other pieces as expected. And the king can't move to a position where it would remain in check. Like here, for example, it can only move out of the check. Okay, now the king's in a position where if it moves any of these 3 cells, it will be in check because of the queen. And it can't also move anywhere here because of the tiger. So if I press on the king, the only available move is here or here, as expected. Okay, now this queen is blocking this queen. So if I move this and I press on the actual blocking piece, it can't move anywhere else because it will still result in the check. It can only move to a cell where it still blocks the queen or eliminate the queen completely. Okay, now I'm going to test my knight. And now that my knight is upgraded to a chariot, if I eliminate this tiger, it should just be like a normal knight, except that because player 2 has already eliminated one of player 1's pawn, a pawn has appeared. And now that the original number of pawns of player 1 has been restored, it can't restore any more pawns. So for example, if I do get that knight, it doesn't get another pawn. But if I do get another pawn like there, we can now get this piece and another pawn has appeared. Okay, now this is the soldier, and it moves 3 places forward. So if I do this, it will be able to eliminate everything here. So, and now that it's eliminated 3 pieces, which is needed for the upgrade, it's now upgraded to a swordsman, which can move like a king. Any adjacent squares it can move. Okay, and now this is the archer. As you can see, it can move like a king, so all of the adjacent squares. So, like so. It can't actually capture any pieces in the adjacent square. It can only move there. As you can see, it doesn't capture the queen. It can also get 1 piece here. So it can jump one piece essentially. If I move the queen out of the way, it can jump. As you can see, it can go here now because it can only jump one piece at a time. So now it can go all the way up to here. Okay, now I upgraded the arch to a catapult, as you can see here, and it has a much larger range. This is the bandit, and this is it can move like a king, except if it meets a knight, a king or a queen, it can then move like a rook, so to capture it, as so. This is upgradable if it captures 3 pieces. So now this is a mafia boss, and essentially it does the same thing, except it can move like a queen to capture a knight, queen, or a king instead of just a rook. So it has the diagonal moves as well, and you can see it can capture the queen diagonally as well now. Okay, this is the tiger. It can move like a king, like usual, but when it captures a piece, it can move twice, as you can see, which means it can also capture twice as well, but it can't go more than once. If it captures again, it can't move again after that. Now the last piece to test is the shapeshifter. It copies the move pattern of the last piece the opponent has moved. So player 1 has just moved the tiger, and now that it's player 2's turn, it has the move patterns of a tiger, so it can move like a king. And now that it has to move a tiger, it can move again. So if I move a pawn, it can only move like a pawn. And if I move bishop, for example, it can move like a bishop. The last thing to test is when the opponent moves a shapeshifter and you try to move the shapeshifter. So if I move this queen, now this shapeshifter has the move patterns of queen. Now if I move the opponent's shapeshifter now, it will have the same move pattern as this shapeshifter had, so which had the queen. So it can move like a queen, and it can keep going, and that's as expected.